In 2013 or 2014, I got my first gaming PC, which is a little wild to think about that it's been 10 years on PC, 10 plus, because growing up I never really cared about or thought about PC and the whole platform debate. I was always on Xbox, switched to PlayStation a bit, then to PC really ever since. But one of the first games I remember getting on Steam when I set everything up and got it all in order for that PC was Payday 2, a first-person shooter stealth, or what's supposed to be stealth until you, maybe just me, would inevitably mess that part up and have to go guns a-blazing in order to complete my heist. But Payday 2 offered a ton of fun and time played for me, and still got support for years to come after that. But late last year, the end of September, Payday 3 launched. After a decade of waiting on a sequel, and in particular for Payday 3 itself, over 8 years since the announcement that the game was in development. Now, the launch was a little messy, to put it lightly, with servers failing for days at a time and with massive influxes of players, and with the game having online required, it became entirely unplayable. But such is the case for a lot of games. Cyberpunk, No Man's Sky, a rocky launch doesn't mean that it has to be the end of the game before it really ever takes off. And Payday 3 is a testament to that, with the new Boys in Blue DLC releasing recently and proving to be a solid addition to the game's offering, and a much better launch both in terms of playability and critical reception compared to the initial launch. Today we're taking a look at what's new, what's on offer, and what you should check out if you're interested in giving Payday 3 another shot with the Boys in Blue DLC. That DLC now available, and you can check it out through the link in the description below. So drop a like if you enjoy, subscribe for more FPS coverage, and thanks to Payday for sponsoring this video. So with Payday 3's Boys in Blue update, we got a handful of new items alongside Update 18. In terms of story lore, after the clowns retired 5 years ago, Clover looked to return with a score to settle, moving back into her former neighborhood in Dublin with free time and a bunch of cash to spare, looking to create a new gang of heisters with Ireland as the treasure trove, but those plans didn't pan out, and was back to square one in the Boys in Blue. Clover's a free heister in this update, but also comes alongside 2 weapons, including Clover's signature gun and an LMG, 3 masks, 12 flag stickers, and a charm. From a foundational perspective, there's new matchmaking services that have been in play. It was actually mentioned that the testing for this has started since the beginning of last month, but these new matchmaking services are meant to improve the stability of the game and have begun rolling out more with the Boys in Blue update to sort of mitigate that stability, the issue that's been there since the launch of the game. The dev team behind Payday mentioned they're looking to implement this fully and have it be the standard by the end of the year so that it's entirely unproblematic when it comes to matchmaking overall. Also, one of the cool things, though, is there's also the solo play beta in place. This is a really nice feature to have. Of course, a lot of solo players are out there, and sure, you can matchmake with bots, but sometimes you just want to play by yourself. This may be a bit more intensive on your systems as it's a client-side feature, not utilizing any of the Payday matchmaking services, but it's a really cool approach to allowing solo play finally. Now, there's a few other things in regards to sort of additional updates in terms of tech utilization, but we'll touch on that a little later. Of course, the biggest bulk of this update is the new heist. Storyline-wise, it's recapped that after the events of the Scry Digital, details on John Concord are surprisingly scarce, but after Shade puts out a line for information, she gets a bite from an unexpected source, Vlad. However, before he can help the gang, they need to help him. With a corrupt police captain planting drugs in one of his legitimate businesses, a gold investment firm that handles physical gold, the captain sees a large quantity of Vlad's gold as air quote evidence. He and the DA will no doubt use it to line their own pockets, but Vlad's usual guys are reliable, but they also aren't up to heisting a full-blown police station, so you need to help Vlad out in a little quid pro quo there. As always, there's a way to go into this mission either stealthy or guns a-blazing. And again, as I mentioned before, me and my friends, yeah, we usually mess that stuff up, so pretty early on, we were forced to go loud. So you, of course, throw the curveball to the plan real fast. There's multiple waves of objectives, all ultimately, though, leading you to the vault with the gold in it. You can either work your way through the police station in how the plan is supposed to go, or you can straight up blow through the wall with explosives, tear down the vault door, and get in that way. So really up to however you want to approach it. With this, though, there's some cool little side quests. You can steal confidential police files. You can even play around with some donuts here. Fun little play on that stereotype that all cops love donuts. And of course, you can take hostages, trade for resources, which can be very beneficial in the heat of the heist. Now, with this one in particular, this Boys in Blue heist, it has a cool duality of the gameplay where you can go loud or go in stealth. Sometimes with some of the heists, there's some crossover that it doesn't really offer 2 very distinct ways to play a certain mission, but this is absolutely one of those ones. One of the cool things that I did like in the whole going loud situation was the winch sequence where you had to pull off the vault door. That in particular really makes you like settle down mid-heist, which is pretty cool. It can either afford you more more time to take in the combat and focus explicitly on that, or you can even go in and do some of those side objectives in the station in between waves or regroups of the cops. So it's a nice sort of time to breathe in that moment of an otherwise busy heist, especially again if you are going loud. But it's cool to see that from point A to point B in regards to how you get to the vault, it's two very different approaches in regards to the gameplay on if you go loud or if you do actually carry out that stealth aspect of it. So the overall heist itself, honestly, I thought was pretty enjoyable. So definitely recommend checking that out. There was additional content that came along with this that was a part of this Boys in Blue update. You have the Tailor Pack, which comes along with new uniforms and new masks. As the dev team said, the sort of cranking up the clown theme there on these. You have a new weapons pack, which includes 3 new weapons of the RG5, ATK7, and the Bull Kick 500, along with 29 mods that come alongside that. So in terms of content, you got a lot that is available here as of this update. The main stuff coming along for $12, but still a decent bit in terms of even just like foundational changes. One additional thing that we didn't get to talk about, again, at the beginning here when we touched on those additional foundational changes, with this update, they added DLSS 3.0, which we mentioned this a little later rather than earlier in the video because it doesn't affect everybody. If you play on console, it's not going to be something that you end up seeing, and even if you play on PC, you have to have an NVIDIA GPU to get the full benefit of this. But DLSS 3 ends up giving better frame generation and gives a smoother experience for the entire gameplay feel of how Payday will perform with this enabled. So from foundational updates to content, a lot of good stuff in this update. Now, when you look towards the future, what is coming next? Of course, there is more DLC along the way, but in a more so immediate future fashion, we can end up looking forward to the further distribution of compensation items for the Syntax, Silver, and Gold editions of the game. Now, this is something that is granted to those specific versions because Payday ended up adjusting their DLC pricing post-launch, in which it's now cheaper. So for those that had those higher editions, the price that you paid, in retrospect, it diminishes that value of what you paid versus what the current and future pricing would end up being. So like what you paid is almost overpaying for what it is now at that point. So this is a way to allow for players to get a bit more bang for that buck in terms of the higher editions of the game and compensate in ways that it equals it all out. Further into the future, we still end up having the Land of the Free and the Fear and Greed Chapter 3 and 4 updates coming, both later on in the summer and later on throughout the year. But for the time being, that is the Boys in Blue Heist Weapon Pack, Tailor Pack, and foundational changes to the game that have been made. Overall, when you take a look at this, again, it is one of those things that, yeah, Payday 3 didn't have the best launch, but it is, just like we mentioned, Cyberpunk No Man's Sky. It's looking to rebound and build itself up to make itself the best game possible, even though it may have put some players off at the very beginning. And I think that this, the content update, the gameplay changes, all things like that, I think that this is a very good step in the right direction, continuing on in terms of building the game out for the diehard fans that are still there. And of course, we do, in year one, still have multiple more updates along the way. Likely some more updates in terms of stability and things like that to come even further beyond just those major updates. So it is something that I think the game has done a great job in turning itself around so far, and fingers crossed still looks to do so even further into the future. So for those guys that are at all interested in checking out Payday 3, the Boys in Blue update, you can check out the link in the description below. Of course, the foundational stuff is there for anybody, but if you actually want to play the new content, link is in the description below where you can learn even more and download it for yourself. Honestly, while I jumped in and played this out for the first little bit to explore it a little further, I'm very excited to jump back in and try and master it all, do all the side objectives, maybe even finally get it done stealth. A couple of times in, didn't really do that, but maybe playing in the new solo beta, I can actually do that. You don't have to worry about your teammates messing anything up. So anyways, Payday 3, the Boys in Blue DLC is available right now. Again, check the link in the description below if you guys are at all interested in trying it out for yourself, or at least just learning more. That link is down there for you guys, but that is where we're going to wrap it up. Nice to be talking Payday when, again, as mentioned at the beginning of the video, Payday 2 is one of my favorite games back whenever it launched, and it's a cool kind of full circle moment here talking about this now after 10 years of building up the YouTube channel and being able to share this with you guys when, again, that was one of the first things that whenever I got into the content space, I was playing, maybe not on the channel, but on the side a ton. Want to share this with you guys and let you know everything you needed to about this update, and so that maybe you can check it out for yourself. But for now, that's where we're going to wrap it up. Let me know your thoughts down below. What do you guys think of the Payday 3 Boys in Blue update from what we've seen so far? Maybe you've played it yourself. Let me know down below. But if you guys enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe for more FPS coverage. And again, thanks to Payday 3 for sponsoring this video. But for now, thanks so much for watching. My name's been Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care and peace.